Okay, greetings and welcome to a special episode of Pop's Collection. Today we are going to talk about the brand new MCU film Black Widow. I'm Ron Tweedy, joining me is Pops, and as always, we're going to give you our takes on this film.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. Or, well, not see you, but nice to talk with you. Or thank you for listening to us. And
Yeah.
we truly appreciate it. If you'd like, grab some coffee, sit down, relax, listen, get on your exercise bike or your treadmill if you'd like,
Right.
whatever. We're here for you.
Right.
Black Widow. I know this is really kind of weird for me. I have no notes. Thankfully, your mom and I went to go see it yesterday.
Right.
Uh, and so it's really fresh in my mind. Although, when I see a comic book movie, it does stick pretty fresh in my mind
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. Even the older I get with my senior moments, I still seem to absorb it.
Yeah.
Uh, One thing
So,
I do have to say that was your mom's and mine first time to the movie theater since COVID.
right.
So it was, I mean, it's special usually when we go, but it was really special
Yeah.
this time.
Yeah.
You know,
I hear you.
I know you've been to other movies. So,
Yeah. Well, we went to go see New Mutants, which was a mistake. Uh, before this, but yeah, so they had the theater open for that, and then they closed it back down for a couple more months, and then they've got it back open now for a few months now. So this is like our first time back, the second time, I guess. But yeah, it was definitely one of those things where we were thankful that we actually had the theater experience again. That was nice. From a structure of this episode standpoint, I'm going to suggest that we uh, on the front end not go into spoilers and kind of just give like a quick take on what we thought of the film and whether people should go see it, and then we can move on to spoilers if you'd like. Does that sound good?
yeah, it sounds all right because I really didn't know how we were going to do this episode without having any spoilers.
Exactly. So let's just do that then, because we're a couple minutes in. Somebody is listening to us and hasn't seen the film yet and wants to see the film and not be spoiled by any of that stuff. We'll go ahead and do it now. So why don't you give your quick take on number one, should people go to the theaters to see it, and then number two, just a summary of your impressions of the film.
Okay, number one, it's a definite 5-star go see it. If five is being the most.
Okay.
Basically, it deserves the big screen experience. There was enough in there to deserve that. You could watch, as we talked earlier, you could watch it on the small screen, but I think that it definitely is enhanced by that big screen on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I will say I kind of agree with your written take that you put on our webpage earlier. It did from the very beginning remind me of a Bond film.
Right.
From the very beginning. I mean, wow. So it had a lot of wow moments. I thought that the gentleman, the actor who played the villain in this,
mm-hmm.
did a really, really great job. I found myself towards the end of the movie really hating this guy bad,
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that I think that's a good summary. So yeah, for me, I will also concur. Please, yeah, go see it. I'm a little more ambivalent of whether or not you should spring for going to the theater versus Disney Plus. You probably could do either. I do think, like you said, there's I'd say two scenes in particular that do suit themselves for the big screen. But yeah, for my summary or take, and this is kind of a reiteration of what I've wrote on social media, is that I do believe that this is going to be the Bond movie of the year to watch, meaning that No Time to Die, which comes out in October, is going to be an inferior Bond film compared to this one. And we can, when that one comes out, maybe we'll do a special episode on that to kind of talk through the reasons why I think that. But as we move past the spoiler marker, we'll get into it more appropriately. So, okay. Having that said, that you've been warned, spoilers ahead. Now would be the time to turn it off if you don't want any.
Right. And if you don't want any spoilers, like Ron said, you can stop it now and listen to us after you go see it.
Right.
As a matter of fact, go see it right now. Yeah, I have to tell you, it was kind of a strange experience for us because, your mom and I like to go during the day. And be warned, everybody, it's a 2-hour and 14-minute movie.
Okay, yeah.
So it could be a little long for some of our older listeners. So up to you. We went at the 12:30 showing, and we wound up actually going out and having our lunch/dinner afterwards, because we kind of didn't want to eat lunch early.
Right.
So depending upon when you go to see it, you may want to try to eat first. We thought we would get something at the movie theater, but I don't know. I guess it's been a long time since I've been to the movie theater. I tell your mom, I said, hey, we can get a popcorn and a large drink for $20. And she's like, what? So.
Yeah, that's pretty shocking.
Yeah, we kind of like, hey, you can get a hot dog and a drink for $14. I'm thinking, really? I don't know, but I'm sure there was some. I think there was a candy bar you could get too for that $20. Maybe that made it worth the 20. I don't know, but that for me, being our first visit back, was a little shocking.
Yeah.
But the experience was wonderful, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought that the actors that they had for this movie, even the child actors, were excellent, as far as you thought that could have been Natasha as a young child.
Yeah.
Or Elena, which is her sister. We should say that this movie is about her experience becoming the professional assassin that she is.
Right.
So it's kind of a, I guess, origin story, pretty much.
It is. I'd say it definitely is. And the it's not really a big reveal per se, but the idea is that, you have this character that was introduced in Iron Man 2 as, this super spy extraordinaire. You get a little bit more of her backstory in Age of Ultron about the Red Room and the Black Widow program. So you think that there's like this, elite group of Russian spies that are being raised somewhere. And then we find out that program is more far-reaching than we ever anticipated. And like you said, her sister, Yelena Belova, is also part of that program, and her mom, Melina, as well. So it's interesting. And then, the beginning of the film where, you have this family of Russian spies. Everything was kind of like really very carefully crafted narratives, and the way that they had to work on their American accents and everything was really, really interesting. And I think they did a good job of aging up the the adults in that as well. With David Harbour as
Aging down, you mean?
yeah, that's what I meant. Aging down,
Yeah,
well, aging up too, because I think that if you were to look at Sheriff Hopper, he probably is somewhere in the middle between the two.
that's true. That is true. I know, and it's so funny that your mom saw him with the beard. I guess she must have not really. There must have not been a really good look when they aged him down,
Yeah.
because she was like, "Where have I seen that guy before?" I'm like, really? I mean, we've gone through 3 seasons, I think, of Stranger Things.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good. And the mom also, I know her from other shows too.
Okay.
She's a good actress
Mhm.
and definitely played the part really, really well.
Right.
So what we really had was kind of a fake family.
Yeah.
And even the kids, well, the youngest, Elena, not really so much. I don't think she had that much of a clue about it.
Right.
Whereas Natasha, the young Natasha, did.
Yeah.
We learn later on in the story where she says that, oh, yes, I remember us shooting Christmas and Easter and
Mhm.
4th of July all together in one day.
Right.
Pictures as family pictures.
Yeah. And you kind of saw that sequence in the opening credits. It was like flashes of that, which again, another thing that really reminds me of a Bond film is that they had a full opening credits sequence with, a song in the background, and kind of like you get kind of a stylized opening credits. And it was a full opening credits where you had, the director and everybody.
Yes.
Which you don't really get a whole lot in the other Marvel films. Only a few of them have that.
Right. And this is MCU movie. This kind of actually, between the beginning to the end of this movie, expands from Infinity Wars all the way through, end games. And, by the end of it, we're past that. And we're even past Winter Soldier and Falcon by the end.
Yes, that's correct.
So,
yes.
I mean, it expands through a long period of time.
Yeah.
Even though the story is basically set in one time, but you get first the childhood, then you get the middle of the story.
Right. The pre-credit sequence takes place in 1995.
Right.
And then you have the meat of the film takes place in 2016, right after the events of Civil War.
Correct.
And then at the post credits is after Endgame, like you said.
Yes. So, I mean, wow. And plus, I saw a couple of knocks to the shows on Disney Plus.
Here, oh, certainly. Yeah.
To probably promote them, I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely. We find them getting out of the U.S. They've been discovered,
right? And
they have something on a disc,
right?
Which we really don't find out till close to the end of the movie,
right?
What that was all about, what the 1995 part was all about.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But they do wind up in Cuba.
Yes.
So another Bond area.
Sure. Yeah.
Which he's done a few things in Cuba. Mm-hmm. And we learned that David Harbour is a super soldier.
Right. Alexei Shostakov, or Red Guardian.
The Red Guardian.
Yeah.
And I loved how later on in the film that she chose to use Tony Stark's Russian counterpart in there.
The Crimson Dynamo. Yeah.
The Crimson Dynamo. And I was like, and he just goes, "It's the Red Guardian." Yeah. I have to say that I'm not Russian, but he was kind of convincing to me. His accent.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, I think for the most part, the special effects were done real well.
Yeah.
Except for the arm wrestling.
Oh,
the real big guy.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
It was funny, and it just really did not look real to me.
I'm okay with that, actually. So,
yeah, I mean, because if it was real, it'd have been a lot more grossed out than that, right?
Exactly. So I'm actually okay with that. That's fine. I really am.
But I really kind of laughed at that particular part when that happened.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah,
not real, you know.
Right.
But that's okay, right?
Right.
We're watching. I don't know in your theater. I'm sure there was a commentary from Stan Lee in the beginning.
You're talking about the preview?
Yeah.
It was kind of a preview. It was both a preview and kind of a retrospective of the MCU. You're talking about that one?
Yes.
Yeah. That they released that a couple months ago. It's it's on YouTube. You can watch it.
Well, I'm just saying that that really sums it up. Why we go to the movies as an escape, a getaway. He had made mention of that, and I thought about that. And the one thing that I really love about Marvel movies is that you can get totally engrossed in the movie, and you kind of believe in the characters,
right?
So when I saw that they were in Cuba, and then we meet the head guy,
Dreykov.
He doesn't seem like a bad guy at that time.
Yeah.
Not too bad of a guy. He is going to take the children.
Right. I mean, that's kind of the first impression that you get is you can see the terror in Natasha's eyes and the way she's acting about she does not want to go back to the Red Room, and
right. She's already been there, but Eliana hasn't, right? Elena.
Right. Yelena, yeah, she's protecting Yelena, and they just completely sedate them, and they're taken away, and both Melina and Alexei they seem cool with it,
right? Which is,
although I will say though, at when they were at the house, getting ready to leave, Melina did kind of give a sympathetic word to Natasha about it, so you could tell that she was kind of not okay with it, but nevertheless, for Mother Russia, they had to do the patriotic thing.
Right, and it was about patriotism in that particular point. And we also hear later on when Natasha's all grown and she meets her mother again,
right?
She repeats what she said, and she says that's what got her through that whole time.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, that's good. It's a nice callback to that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it for 1995.
Yeah.
Right. And then we get into the meat of the story.
Right.
And where we're at. And we also get to see one of the better James Bond movies. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Moonraker.
You don't need to say spoiler alert every time. We've already given them the warning. So.
Right. I know that, but I just had to say it.
But yeah, so to me, I think that, they kind of were showing their cards saying that, yeah, this is a Bond film. And we talked about this before, how a lot of the other MCU films, they're really subgenres of other films. For instance, if you were to look at a movie like Ant-Man, it's really a heist movie that's in the MCU. If you're looking at, a sci-fi movie, you've got Guardians of the Galaxy. If you're looking for a political thriller, you've got The Winter Soldier. You have all these other subgenres of films, and this is the spy movie that we're getting.
No question about it.
And, I do think that I really appreciate the fact that out of all of the Bond movies and all of the Bonds they had to pick
Roger Moore.
Roger Moore in, I think Moonraker is, and we talked about this in the Roger Moore episode, but just the height of silliness is in that film. And I think you know what I'm talking about, the pigeon triple take. Right.
Oh yes. Among other things, yes, definitely.
But yeah, that was great. I really, really, really liked that, as a nod to what this film really is. And yeah, that was great.
Right. And she kind of had her own M with the guy that got her all her stuff.
Actually, I would say he's more like her Q.
You're right. I'm sorry. A Q. You're right. I'm sorry. I had the wrong alphabet there, wrong
Okay.
letter.
Yeah, Rick Mason is his character. He's I guess he was in Shield, and that's kind of he kind of gets things for people.
Right. That's his I don't know, his shtick or whatever.
Mhm.
That's the thing that he's noted for.
Yeah.
You know, so and sometimes not so well. He does things not so well sometimes.
Right.
And because we're getting to the meat, we find he said he left some stuff from her apartment in Budapest.
Budapest.
She says Budapest. No,
Yeah.
it's Budapest.
Right.
You know, so
that's the Hungarian pronunciation.
Right. So did they do the research on that, you think? Maybe.
Oh, sure.
Now, I tell you one thing that I saw, especially when you make it to the end credits,
right.
You see that this movie was shot in a lot of different locations.
Again, another indication of it being a Bond film, because they do that all the time as well.
Yes, they do. I loved the Norway cut.
Yep.
Some of the scenes were really breathtaking.
Yes.
And I guess there was some in the islands. Only I know it happened, and I kind of somehow thought, well, what was it? And then it was like, duh, it's going to be Cuba. You know,
right.
It has to be.
They landed
because they couldn't film in Cuba probably, or
well, they could
if
have.
they, yeah, maybe. You think?
Yeah.
Okay, but they found another location. But really, studios in Georgia, in Marvel Studios, it was really nice, really incredible.
Yep. Agreed.
We get to meet, I don't know, what would you call Black Widow Plus, or the character that is going after Natasha at this moment.
Oh, it's Taskmaster. That's the name of the villain.
Yes. Well, yeah. Okay. All right. I have to say that part of the film was the first part that made your mom and me jump.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. So, yeah, there were a couple moments like that. So that, I think that speaks to how engrossed you could get in this movie.
Yeah.
So again, yes, definitely for people to watch, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Natasha kind of finds out at this time that they're not really after her.
No.
You know, so thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And that she then goes back to Budapest
and
finds her sister there. We got a great fight scene there.
Right.
I thought very good choreography.
Yep.
And we then get to meet, well, we've already met some of the Black Widows, but now we get to meet even more.
Yeah. We find out really what the point is of the film is that this new generation of widows are being mind controlled using
a drug or something, right?
Yeah,
or a chip.
Yeah, basically, we find out it's the research that was stolen in 1995 that allowed this to happen. So now they're pretty much mind controlled, and this substance that got sent to Natasha is stuff that can stop the mind control. And so Yelena gets hit with it, and she becomes, disillusioned of the widow program, and so she's trying to save the other widows. And
she finally comes back to herself. She gets her own free will back.
Right, and that kind of just sets us off the whole plot is that, Natasha needs to, she believed at this point that Dreykov was killed, that she killed him herself, along with his daughter, with Hawkeye, because they've always talked about Budapest and how she had a debt that she had to repay for what Clint did for her in Budapest, and this is what it all boiled down to, was him helping her take down Dreykov, and that was kind of the final part for her defection to Shield, which was hard at the time. So it's all this tangled web of spycraft that's going on back and forth. But the fact is that Dreykov is not dead, and the Widow program is back, and it's more dangerous because back when Natasha was a part of the Widow program, they only used psychological control on people, which wasn't as effective as this chemical control that they have now. And so she wants to kind of blow the whole thing up and take it all down and finally kill Dreykov. That's kind of the whole film. And so in order to do that, they have to bust out, and get the family back together in order to get it done. And that's pretty much, I think, the real meat of the film, right?
Oh yes, definitely. And it kind of took me aback that you had a Russian super soldier.
Yep.
But instead of using him,
yep,
they send him to prison.
So this is actually, I think, the big story of the film, or the big lesson, or the big worldview thing about this film. And this is it. This is this whole movie is a testament to the brutality and evil of the communist worldview. It destroys the family. You see how many families were destroyed in this one movie, and it kind of it will want to take away all of that stuff in order just to control people, and it's evil and it needs to be taken down. I think that's really the big lesson of this film.
Yeah, I think it's one of the big lessons. I think that when you see all of the Black Widows trying to reach their objective,
right,
that you see that they do not care
right,
who is in the way,
right,
who gets hurt, the collateral damage, so to speak,
right,
how many cars they blow up with other people in them, or run over or destroy lives. If they kill people while they're trying to meet their objective, it's no big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Life has no meaning.
Right.
And I don't know, I guess if you take away free will, then their life doesn't have any meaning.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. I think, and the other thing is that, like, the real people who were true believers in the ideology and stuff like that, like Alexei, what happens to him? He gets thrown off into a gulag in the middle of Siberia and has to get busted out by,
his
Yelena.
pretend daughters.
Yeah, which, I did think that was definitely the first real scene that was conducive to the theater, just kind of them, going in there by helicopter, and then Yelena and Natasha having the white suits and everything. And yeah, that was, a big action piece.
Oh, absolutely. I thought it was done totally excellent. Even the avalanche.
Yes. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, the whole thing from, I felt like you could see that it was one of those suspense things that you got so engrossed as, like, is Elena going to get Natasha? Oh, good, she got Natasha. Well, wait a minute. Are they going to get Alexei? Wait, it doesn't. Are they going to do it? It's kind of, you got so engrossed in how was that going to happen,
Right. Right. You're right.
It was perfectly done.
Yeah.
Most excellently.
Yeah.
And then we had the next thing with the pigs.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's how we get introduced to what's actually happening there. And she's kind of showing, what she's doing, experimenting with pigs, which is interesting. to say the
Oh
least.
yes, and we get them sitting down for a meal,
Right.
and Melina asks one of the pigs to come in, and then tells the pig to stop breathing,
Right.
and it does.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. It's like technically you could have killed everyone that
Yeah.
is on that mind control thing.
Well, we saw that happen just a little bit later on, where there was a widow fighting with Natasha, and Dreykov just ordered her to, hit her with the, charge thing in the face. And actually, that happened way back in the film, so we saw that
It
already.
did.
So
yes, we did. The first time that we got to see,
yeah,
it was in Budapest.
Budapest. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the main crux of the film, is that we need to save these people from being mind controlled, and yeah, it's interesting. And then the cool part after that is, as they go on the final mission to find where the Red Room is, which is no longer on the surface. It's a sky base, which again, to me, James Bond,
all the way
in the sky. It's like it basically was Moonraker at that point. It's just that it wasn't in space; it was just in the the upper atmosphere, which it's like Drax's Moonraker.
Right, and Dreykov, Drax, kind of.
Yeah. I mean,
it could be.
It's there. But I do love the interplay of not knowing Melina's like a traitor. Is she a traitor? Is that really Melina? Is that I thought that was really cool.
Oh, the way they did it was excellent, most definitely. And I felt like that Draco was so much a Bond villain at that time.
He was.
When he was pretending like, when Natasha couldn't hurt him.
Right.
It was like, I am going to rule the world.
Right. He starts monologuing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just like, before Mr. Bond, we are going to kill you. But first, let me tell you everything that I'm going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So a totally Bond movie from that point on.
Yeah. So what did you think about the big reveal about who Taskmaster was?
That was another whoa moment, I thought.
I wasn't expecting it. I mean, in fact,
I was expecting a man.
Well, yeah, in the comics,
he is, right?
Yeah. And we see this all the time. They definitely change it. They didn't in this case. Taskmaster is a totally different person, not related to a Dreykov or anything like that. So, we've talked about this before about them, changing either ethnicities or genders for characters. It to me, I think it's okay because it's not the same character. It's the same title, the same,
right. A different type of character altogether.
It's just like what's it called? Green Lantern with Hal Jordan and Guy. What's the other guy's name?
Oh my gosh, there's so many different Green Lanterns.
I just saw your shirt, so I thought of but what my point being is that these characters are different, but they have the Green Lantern title. That I think is a better thing than as opposed to saying that instead of it being Hal Jordan, it's Halina Jordan or whatever. I think that's much lamer. So
I don't think that would help the Green Lantern franchise, although there is a Latino foster child that becomes Green Lantern in the Fatal Five animated version. So they do have a girl Green Lantern.
Yeah, I know they do. DC Superhero Girls the has that as well, and she's Scottish for some reason, which is kind of cool. Anyway, that's not talking about Green Lantern. We're talking about Black Widow.
Right, correct. And we're talking about Taskmaster.
Right. Yeah. And actually, the other thing that we didn't really mention is that Thaddeus Ross is in this film as like the only other established MCU character that we pretty much see at this point.
At this time. Yeah. At this point.
And to me, that I think was one of the either missed opportunities or, I kind of wish that they had another character to cross into, or at least a scene like we got with Ant-Man and the Falcon, or Doctor Strange, Ragnarok, something. But unfortunately, we didn't get that. Actually, we kind of got something like that at the very, 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 very end, but we'll talk about probably just shortly.
Yes, that's true.
but yeah, I think it kind of brings us to the other big action sequence that is definitely film movie screen worthy, is the takedown
yes,
of the base.
of the Red Room.
Yeah.
Which we find is a lot more than one room.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge base.
Yeah.
And I almost thought, all right, did they get the technology that Shield had for their helicarriers? I mean,
right, with Hydra slash. Yeah.
Yes. Did that kind of be on there possibly?
Right. I think so.
But I felt it was more of a Bond thing than a Marvel thing.
Yeah.
The style of the building that they constructed or what have you.
I agree.
And then the most incredible blowing up of the Red Room.
Yeah.
And them still fighting. And we had Taskmaster on the reveal for, I don't know, if Natasha had blown up Draco and his daughter, with the way that explosion was earlier, that's as bad as she got? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't, maybe they reconstructed her and part of her is not real. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he did say that he had to put a chip in her.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a tough fight moment for Natasha.
Right.
Because she's already felt the guilt. She's been living with the guilt.
Yeah.
That she killed an innocent person.
Right.
Draco's daughter. But now she finds out not so much.
No, she only horribly scarred Draco's daughter.
Yes, true that. And she now has the ability to mimic anybody's fighting style.
Right, which I think is more of the technology of the Taskmaster protocol that they kind of introduced at the beginning. So it's part, mental conditioning, part of the technology behind the Taskmaster suit, I think. Which we kind of see, Taskmaster's utilizing a bow, so I'm thinking it's like a Hawkeye style at that point, right? And then you can see it with the shield, it's more like Captain America, I think. So you have those different styles, which is pretty cool. But yeah, and at the end of the day, she ends up defeating Dreykov and saving Taskmaster and the Widows, and that's pretty much it.
And the Red Guardian gets the shield.
He does, and then at the very, very end, it kind of sets everything up for Infinity War.
Yes.
So.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And it's kind of at that point, the end of this particular movie, except for the credits.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I do want to say that there was one scene that Tracy really appreciated. It was when Yelena and Natasha were in the car talking with each other, and Yelena was talking about her vest that she got with all the pockets.
With all the pockets, yes.
Yeah, so I think that's going to turn into a meme. One thing with my wife's business is that she sells dresses and other women's clothing, and that the dresses with pockets are actually a very hot commodity, and so I think it's going to be turned into a meme, at least for Lit Thrift. So it'll be kind of funny, but we do see at the very end Natasha has that vest, and so we actually
gives it to her. Yes.
Now we're trying to, we went back to Infinity War to see if she had that vest in the opening scene where they're fighting Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight, and I think it is the same vest. It's hard to tell. I'm sure we can maybe get a side by side to look at that, but I thought that was cool how they kind of set all that up.
Yeah, well, the thing about Marvel, and I think that other DC took a page out of their book by trying to interweave, or I really don't know who came with it first, because in the Arrowverse, every season there was a crossover. When it was just Arrow and Flash, it was a crossover. Then when Supergirl joined it, another crossover, and so on and so on. And we kind of get that with all the movies, things get interwoven.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, after the credits, we do get a scene which I thought which kind of is a teaser.
Yeah,
but not for Black Widow 2.
No. In fact, I think so. So the teaser of Valentina coming back, reprising her role from
Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Exactly. And so now we know that she has at least John Walker and Yelena Belova on her team, and the target for them to take out is none other than Clint Barton, who but this is my theory, is that it's setting up the new Hawkeye Disney Plus series.
Well, I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
When I saw that.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, okay. But is the Hawkeye is going to be about him training his daughter, right?
It's not his daughter. It's Kate Bishop. It's a different character.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's going to be training her, right?
Yeah. So I'm assuming, so my thought would be that Kate Bishop is also going to be recruited by Valentina to take out Hawkeye, and that instead, or the other way around, is that, she's going to get mixed up in it somewhere, and Clint Barton's going to end up, being the target.
Well, we'll see how that works out. I'm really interested in that, especially because I told you how well DC did Arrow.
Uh-huh.
So I'm hoping that Disney can at least surpass it with Hawkeye, but if not, at least maybe equivalent to it, I hope.
Well, yeah, Clint Barton's a way different character than Oliver Queen. I mean, just totally different backstory, even though they functionally, they have, similar skill sets, the motivation behind Queens versus Barton is completely different. And, they have a different background. They're at different ages. Clint's a family man, whereas, Oliver Queen, at least in the beginning of Arrow, he's just a person in his early 20s,
He's a young kid that, still developing, but that's how far back they went with that story.
Yeah.
To develop it. And I know they're not going to do that with Hawkeye.
No, but you might get someone in a similar, like, I don't know, Kate Bishop's backstory. Maybe she has something similar to Oliver Queen.
It's quite possible.
Yeah.
But we'll find out.
Yeah.
But at that end credit, I think where the grave was at, was where Natasha's real mother was buried.
Okay, yeah, it could be.
Because you remember Draco said, oh, it was a tree with pink flowers.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, maybe. Because we know Natasha's not really there because she's on another planet. Or dead. Because
her body. Yeah.
Yes.
And to me, like, I think that was the other big motivation, I think, changing for Natasha, is finding out the true fate of her biological parents. The fact is that, she wasn't given up. She actually was taken away. That also kind of gives, more motivation for her to really confront Dreykov for that as kind of a avenging thing to do.
Yes. Well, we did get different kind of quip lines from Elena.
Yeah.
About the Avengers and sending a real superhero.
Or she would, making fun of Natasha with the poses and everything.
Oh, I love that. And then she did the pose and was like, "How can you do that?" Oh, and saying that she was such a poser. That was so funny. I cracked up so much.
Yeah.
Your mother was like, "What's that? What are you talking about?" I said,
yeah, it's funny.
We're going to rewatch all the films so that you can see her doing that pose.
Right.
What is that? You'll put your arm out like that. That's not comfortable. And then she does it. And it's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
no
And
way.
that is one thing that's nice about the film, is that it doesn't take itself too seriously. Again, kind of a Roger Moore era James Bond that also doesn't take itself too seriously. So,
Yes,
I
definitely.
like it. Yeah.
Uh, yes, I'm going to say it was a family movie.
Yeah, yeah. I will definitely take the boys to go see it. Piper, probably not, because at least the beginning part, where they're taking away the girls and kidnapping them, put them in the
Yeah,
program.
that's not
That'll
good.
freak her out. I think. She's 6, so obviously it's PG-13 film. We wouldn't take her anyway. But
Right. Well,
um,
the thought of, I thought it was very disturbing that Draco
yeah,
was pretty much he was into human trafficking pretty
yeah, that's
much,
exactly what it is. You're right.
which is made him even a more vile villain than what I already thought he was.
Yep, absolutely.
When I saw all of those, when he got his big reveal of
Yeah,
how many Black Widows he had all over the world,
right.
and how he could control famines, control elections, and
Topple governments. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it was like, wow, this guy is like the baddest of the baddest. He's even worse than Hydra.
Yeah, and the thing about it that really I think sets it, what I love about just the MCU in general is you have this going on almost at the exact same time where you have Doctor Strange fighting for the fate of the universe against Dormammu. This is happening around the same exact time. So you have somebody that's toppling this shadow organization that could completely destroy the world, and then you have this other guy, in another time dimension, saving the world at the same time. So it's like the amount of peril that this Earth is, this version of Earth is in all the time is pretty crazy, and the fact that you have all these stories going on at once is really cool. It's really neat. So,
Oh yes, yes, and I do have to say that the Red Room
yeah,
kind of reminded me of the Bond villain in The Spy Who Loved Me, I think. Or wasn't that the one with the underwater,
yes,
right?
yeah, yeah. I don't remember his name off the top
No,
of
me
my head.
neither, but we can call him Draco.
No,
It wasn't, I know.
um,
I cannot remember his name either, but I thought about that here he is in this area where nobody can reach him, nobody knows where he is, and he's the same kind of villain that was in that Bond movie that could just put that underwater and nobody would know where he's at.
and at the same time, this is the plot or everything was very similar to Blofeld's in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, where he was taking young girls and mentally
Yes.
conditioning them so they could topple the government.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
like,
There was so many Bond references in this particular
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Sadly, though, I feel that there's no Black Widow 2 coming. And
Oh
I
no,
think we see that at the end.
yeah,
It's what I appreciated about that part of it
yeah.
was that it did kind of give closure to
Oh
the
yeah,
story.
yeah.
You
And
know?
the other, yeah, and I think the other thing is that I think it also gives more meaning to Natasha's sacrifice on Morag with
Right,
in,
with Clint when she was with Clint.
yeah, or in Endgame, yeah, because we see that she led a life that destroyed a lot of things as well, but there was some redemption there beforehand, and like that the sacrifice on Morag ends up being the last
Ultimate
debt
redemption.
the last debt that she has to pay.
Yes.
So I thought it was cool.
Oh yeah, no question about it. And the acting for Scarlett in all of the movies, uh, as her character develops further and further in every movie,
Yeah.
I think you get that sense of regret and of her guilt for some things
Yeah.
all the way through all of the movies that she's involved in.
Right.
It might only be a little section here or a little section there, but I think
Yeah.
we got the culmination of that in this particular movie of why her character was the way it was throughout the Avengers and Iron Man 2, from Iron Man 2 on.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes back again to how the, the communist hatred of the family, I think affected that as well, because they, the part of the, you know, requirements for these widows is that they're sterilized and they can't have their own families. And so
Right.
it's like,
And I thought they gave a pretty graphic
yeah,
picture of that,
sure.
you know.
Yeah. And I think that, it's, again, I think it's really helpful to remember that, there is a worldview out there that is strictly, a culture of death. And, it's evil and it needs to be fought.
Right. And how do you fight it? Is there a way to fight it without violence? I don't think so.
Obviously violence should be the last option,
Last resort, right?
but when it comes time, take the gloves off and let's get at it, because at the end of the day, lives are at stake,
Right. And I really feel that, there's a lot of crime in the world.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of it here. Internet crime and things like that are faceless crimes. But when you're kidnapping people,
right,
and putting them into slavery,
right,
or you're training someone, or I don't know, doing something to them to make them somebody that they're not, or taking away their free will.
right. I mean, that is slavery.
Yes, it is, right. It all kind of intertwines.
Right. Yeah.
So, I thought that this movie brought that message out loud and clear. Definitely.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So we got to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Without too many spoilers. So if you did watch this and didn't see the movie, you still have to go see the movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, still worth seeing, even, like for me, personally, I don't care about spoilers at all. So like if people were to talk about it without me seeing it beforehand, it's fine, so, but yeah, even if you haven't seen it, you should go see it. It's definitely worth a watch.
Oh, no question about it. And I do want to say that the trailers in the beginning,
yeah,
for the most part, were pretty good.
One was sorely lacking and missing, and I'm still kind of bummed I didn't get a chance to see
the new Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They did mention it,
right, but there was no trailer. I was hoping that they would release that, but the fact that they didn't.
You know what? It is what they call a real teaser.
Yeah.
Right, because it just said Spider-Man.
Yeah.
No Way Home.
Right.
One thing I did decide watching those trailers is that the new Venom movie is definitely DVD only. I don't think I'd go to the theater to see that. Well, your mom would definitely not go to the theater.
Oh, I'm not going. Yeah, I'm not going to go see that.
I am interested in seeing the movie, but I think I can wait till it goes out on DVD. Sure. However, Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah, that new trailer is awesome.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, yeah. That was the best yet. And if that didn't get you hyped up about it, ain't nothing will,
No, definitely. I think that's the what I'm looking forward to. So far,
not so much with the Eternals either. Even the one, it wasn't the same trailer that we did the review on, First Impressions,
right?
But it wasn't any better.
No.
So it's like I still don't know if I want to go see that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we'll see.
So, but definitely Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so the thing that I think about this movie that we really can't say anything about would be the profits it's going to make.
Well, actually, I saw an article about this. Let's see. There was saying that this was it did, I think, 80 million opening weekend, which is this weekend, and it in the box office, and then it did 60 million in Disney Plus.
On top of that,
so I whether or not you can call that a success or not, I'm not sure, because the other thing you have to keep in mind is that this movie was supposed to come out over a year ago.
well, yeah, and not only that, you have to consider that there's a lot of areas where some theaters are not open.
Right.
And people are, the only thing they've got is, and we don't know how well they have Disney Plus, or if they have Disney Plus.
Right. But my point being is that, like, it's the budget, I think, was supposed to be like $200 million.
Yeah.
But the thing you can't, I don't know how you can take into effect that this was a movie that money was spent on it, and it sat on the shelves for over a year. There's got to be a cost to that as well.
Right. Oh, yes. And how many times they had to promote it.
Yeah.
In different ways,
Yeah.
And that stuff costs money, lots of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can't really tell one way or another whether it's a success or not, because because you got 60 million on Disney Plus, it doesn't really give a true account, because you're only collecting from each family.
Yeah.
Did they have friends over to watch it?
Right.
Was it a big watch party, where there are like 15, 20 people there? Who knows? So
yeah, but
60
obviously
million was spent.
Yeah. Well, time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to say it's worth a watch, and I'm thinking that we're about to the rating part of it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say it's definitely, for me, being my first movie back, I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay.
I could have given it a 10, but I don't want to be too overzealous.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a 10. It's for the second female-centric MCU film, it's vastly superior to Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, we talked about how troubled that production was. This is a female hero. That story, I still need to think through some of that. I think there is some other issues there to kind of work through that I'm still thinking about. But from a that kind of it's vastly superior. It's worth a watch. I would say for me it's an 8.5. It the only thing I think for me that the lacking thing was there should have been a connection to someone else in the MCU at that point somewhere besides just Ross.
Right. If they could have got Clint somehow there.
Sure.
Because we kind of got what we were supposed to think was Clint's voice.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure whether it was or not, but whether it was Raimi's voice or if it was just somebody else, but that's all we really got for another interlude, like you said, until the very end.
Right.
So yeah, 8.5 is good.
Yep.
I think we've got something coming up next week.
Yeah, Loki's wrapping up, so we'll give our review on the first season of Loki. Take it from there.
Yes, and we'll kind of try and figure out if there's going to be a second season.
Yeah,
you never know with the MCU.
Yeah, well, I think it is confirmed that there'll be a second season, so we'll see.
Well, good. We'll talk about that next week then.
All right, great.
Cool. Sounds great, man. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for listening to us. We really appreciate it. So,
absolutely. Yeah. And feel free to follow us on social media and send us a like on Facebook and on Twitter. And again, we'll see you next week for a wrap up of Loki season 1. Goodbye and God bless.
Goodbye. God bless. And tell your friends.